There was a study done, a hospital study, on 100 elderly people facing death close to their last breath. They were asked to reflect about their life's biggest regret. Nearly all of them said they regretted not the things they did, but the things they didn't do. The risks they never took, the dreams they didn't pursue. I ask you, will your last words be, if only I hit, hey, you, wake up. Why do you exist? Life is not meant to simply work, wait for the weekend and pay rent. No, I don't know much, but I know this. Every person on this earth has a gift. And I apologize to the black community, but I can no longer pretend. Martin Luther King, that man never had a dream. That dream had him. See, people don't choose dreams. Dreams choose them. So the question I'm getting to is, do you have the courage to grab the dream that picked you, that befits you and grips you? Or will you let it get away and slip through? You know, I learned a fact about airplanes the other day. Now this was so surprising. See, I was talking to a pilot and he told me that many of his passengers think planes are dangerous to fly in. But he said, actually, it is a lot more dangerous for a plane to stay on the ground. I said, what? Like, how does that sound? Well, he said because on the ground, the plane starts to rust, malfunction, and wear much faster than it ever would if it was in the air. As I walked away, I thought, yeah, makes total sense. Because planes were built to live in the skies, and every person was built to live out the dream they have inside. So it is perhaps the saddest loss to live a life on the ground without ever taking off. See, most of us are afraid of the thief that comes in the night to steal all of our things. But there's a thief in your mind who is after your dreams. His name is doubt. If you see him, call the cops and keep him away from the kids, 'cause he is wanted for murder, for he has killed more dreams than failure ever did. He wears many disguises and like a virus will leave you blinded, divided, and turn you into a kinda. See, kinda is lethal. You know what kinda is. It's a lot of kinda people. You kinda want a career change. You kinda want to get straight A's. You kinda want to get in shape. Simple math, no numbers to crunch. If you kinda want something, then you will kinda get the results you want. What is your dream? What ignites that spark? You can't kinda want that. You gotta want it with every part of your whole heart. Will you struggle? Yeah, you will struggle, no way around it. You will fall many times, but who's counting? Just remember, there's no such thing as a smooth mountain. If you wanna make it to the top, then there are sharp ridges that must be stepped over. There will be times you get stressed and things you get depressed over, but let me tell you something. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school 3 times, but he kept going. The television execs fired Oprah, said she wasn't fit for TV, but she kept going. Critics told Beyonce that she couldn't sing, she went through depression, but she kept going. Struggle and criticisms are prerequisites for greatness. That is the law of this universe and no one escapes it. Because pain is life, but you can choose what type. Either the pain on the road to success, or the pain of being haunted with regret. You want my advice? Don't think twice. We have been given a gift that we call life, so don't blow it. You are not defined by your past. Instead, you are born anew in each moment, so own it now. Sometimes you gotta leap and grow your wings on the way down. You better get the shot off before the clock runs out, 'cause ain't no overtime in life, no do-over. And I know I sound like I'm preaching or speaking with force, but if you don't use your gift, then you sell not only yourself, but the whole world short. So what invention do you have buried in your mind? What idea, what cure, what skill do you have inside to bring out to this universe? Uni meaning one, verse meaning song. You have a part to play in this song. So grab that microphone and be brave. Sing your heart out on life's stage. You cannot go back and make a brand new beginning, but you can start now and make a brand new ending.
He is winning hearts and minds and some cold hard cash at the Hotel Intercontinental on Michigan Avenue.
So Will White is a doorman, and he's on a mission to brighten the day of each and every guest. So let's check out why he loves his job.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Hotel Intercontinental. Good afternoon. One car to come down to the garage, please. Well, my duties include of greeting the guests when they arrive to the hotel, giving them information on the hotel and getting taxis for guests, and also recommending restaurants and things to do throughout the city. All right, you guys have a good day. Well, I've been working this job for 20 years. I was in high school. My sister, she was actually employed at the hotel at the time. And she saw that I was working hard in school, and she said, you know, her job was hiring, and she asked me to come down, and I put in an application, and they hired me to be a bellman here at the hotel, and I've been here since that time. You're welcome, sir. The McCormick Place, please. Will this be for overnight or short term for you all? And then the next building is the Marriott. Well, I love being a doorman. You know, I have good experiences every day with different people from all over the world. The winters are a little tough, but you know, if you dress for it, you know, it's a pretty great job to have. If you go to Ohio, which is the first intersection, take a left. Was there luggage for me to send upstairs for you all? Now your husband.
I gotta find my husband.
Right. I'm meeting people all day, and you know, I'm in a good mood, and if I meet someone, if they're not in a good mood, 9 times out of 10, if I have a good conversation with them, you know, I can give them a smile. My thing is to try to, each person that I come in contact with, is to try to make them leave from my presence with a smile. Thank you very much, Mr. Sparks. Welcome to the Intercontinental. Where are you traveling to? Well, I love my job because I get to be myself and I get to meet new people every day, and it brings daylight to my own life. Welcome to the Intercontinental. You're welcome. Have a great day. See you all later today. Thanks. Some days my days might not be bright, but I'll come here and I'll meet someone and they'll make my day. You know, that's the great thing about a job like this, because you're dealing with regular people. So you never know what kind of conversation you're going to have. Every day is different.
And all I can think of, the people watching that he must have at his little perch right there.
Oh, the stories.
Must be awesome.
The stories that he could probably tell of things that he's seen late at night outside that hotel.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool, though, that he loves to make everybody else's day.
Yes.
That's so cute.
Now, if you love your job, we want to hear from you. Send us an email. Let us know why you love your job, and we could be featuring you right here on our show.
I'd like to begin by telling you a story. January 12th, 2010 was my 22nd birthday. It was also the day that changed my life forever. You see, that morning I woke up to dozens of texts saying, "Happy birthday, you're the best, I love you," mostly from my mom. But I woke up feeling incredibly lucky that day. Unfortunately, that afternoon, we started seeing devastating photos of the Haiti earthquake. We saw an entire country that was
in shambles and families broken. And it really struck me because it didn't feel like a coincidence. How was it that I was so lucky to be able to have so many people that I love, but meanwhile I was seeing such terrible heartache and hardship? So at the time I had very little money in my bank account as a new college graduate, but I had this belief that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. So like any reasonable, logical person, I decided to grab my guitar and several of my friends and go to a New York subway stop to sing and busk to raise $100 for Haiti. Now, if you've ever heard me sing, you know this is a terrible idea, because I'm the worst singer. Imagine a cat that is drowning singing a doll. That's better than me. It's true. But the people of New York were incredibly kind to me, very generous. We raised about $80. And all throughout, I was filming, and I decided, you know what, let me make a little quick video about it. And I put it online and sent it to all my friends and said, hey, if you've got a couple of bucks, would love for you to donate. We're just trying to raise $100 for Haiti. Within a week, something really special happened. We had 8,000 views to that video. Within a week, we had raised $700 for Haiti. So of course, I called my mom and said, oh, Mom, guess what? We have 8,000 views. She goes, I know. I watched it 4,000 times. I said, okay, we've got 4,000 views. She goes, okay, good job. But all joking aside, that was the time that I realized that stories and media and film are such a powerful mean to do good. My name is Jason Wiley, and I am the founder of Jubilee Media today, and I am so honored to be with you tonight to share with you my story, to talk about my story and how stories can change the world. And as a filmmaker, I've seen that firsthand. But the truth is, it's pretty unlikely for me to be here right now sharing with you about being a filmmaker because this wasn't a very likely path for me. You see, I grew up as the younger child of 2 Korean immigrants. That's me, the little one. That's my brother with his hand. And both of my parents are not only Korean, but they're also professors. So as you can imagine, school is very, very important at our household. So, imagine your favorite memories as a child, going to Disneyland or going to the ball game with your dad. My favorite memory growing up was going to my first day of kindergarten. I remember getting mousse in my hair, and I dressed up really nice, and I was so eager because I had picked out my backpack, those Ninja Turtles. I had my little lunchbox, and I ran to school because I had been told that when you go to school, you learn, and when you learn, you can grow, and you can be anything that you wanted when you learn. How beautiful is that, right? My kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Price, she was the sweetest lady. Imagine Mr. Rogers' wife almost, right? And that day she taught us about school and about taking turns because I always like to overeager kids. I was like, hey, she goes, Jason, that's great, but you have to wait your turn. This is what it means to raise your hand. So I was practicing this quite a bit. And I still distinctly remember the very first day of school, she said, this is what your homework is for today. I want you to go home and think about what it is you want to be when you grow up. And I said, ooh, I know. And she goes, well, Jason, homework is what you do at home. And I said, homework is the worst thing ever. And the reason is because I knew deep down in my gut already what I wanted to be, right? You've got all these dreams when you're growing up. I knew exactly what I wanted to be. So I ran home, and I remember I couldn't sleep because I was so excited to share with Mrs. Price and all my new friends what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I ran back to school the next day. I'm like, me. She goes, Jason, we're going to go around in a circle. And I said, okay. Starting to figure out this social EQ thing. And so Brian's saying, when I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. I was like, no one cares. And then, Sally's like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a ballerina. I was like, okay. And finally, it's my turn, right? And Mrs. Price said, thank you, Jason, for waiting patiently. And I had my hand up. She goes, no, you don't have to put your hand up now. This is your turn. And I said, well, when I grow up, there are 2 things I really want to be when I grow up. And she says, awesome. You can be whatever it is that you want. I said, okay. She goes, okay, why don't you share with us the first thing? Well, I said, I've been thinking about it for a really long time, and I was really trying to decide between these 2, but I think this is the thing I really, really want to be. She says, okay, Jason, what is it that you'd like to be when you grow up? I said, well, when I grow up, I want to be a dinosaur. And she looked at me and she said, okay. And I said, you said I could be whatever I want. She goes, yeah, but maybe it's good to have a backup plan. I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay, that's sensible. She said, Jason, what's the second thing you'd like to be when you grow up? I said, well, when I grow up, if I can't be a dinosaur for whatever reason, I want to be a policeman. And she said, oh, that's so wonderful. Why do you want to be a policeman? And I said, well, when I grow up, I want to fight bad guys. I want to fight for justice. I want to help other people. And she said, that's so wonderful, Jason. What a noble profession. And I was so proud, right? That day, our activity at school was we were all supposed to draw what it is that we wanted to be when we grew up. So Brian is drawing this huge astronaut, like him in the moon. And Sally's drawing herself as a ballerina. And of course, I'm drawing myself as a huge dinosaur with a little gun and a little badge. Yeah, a boy can dream, right? And I was like, this is so amazing. I can be whatever I want when I grow up. And she said, all right, now go home. And, we were all rushing home. And I roll up my piece of paper. I run home, and we're having dinner. And my dad looks at me and says, Jason, how was school? I said, oh, so good. And he said, what did you learn? And I said, I think I know what I want to be when I grow up. And by then, I think I had realized, okay, it's not really kosher to say that you want to be a dinosaur. I had kind of realized that. And he said, okay, what is it that you want to be? And I said, well, when I grow up, I want to be a policeman. And there was silence, right? was almost as though I had said I wanted to be a dinosaur when I grew up. There was silence, and my dad, he took a spoon. I remember so vividly, he set it down, and he looked at me. He said, Jason, you know I love you. When you grow up, you're not going to be a policeman. And I said, why not? He said, I want you to have a good career. I want you to have a respectable career where you make a lot of money and you're very secure so that you can take care of your family, right? And I don't think my dad's intention that day was to crush my dreams, but it was so weird to hear him say that because all of this time I'd heard over and over and over again, you can be whatever you want when you grow up. But here was my hero, my father, who I love dearly, and he was saying, no, you can't. And it wasn't at that moment, but I think it was in a couple years during that time when I started to realize actually there were a couple of things that I could be when I grew up. There were 4 things I could be when I grew up. Can you imagine what those were? I could be a doctor. I could be a lawyer. I could be an engineer. Or I could be a businessman, right? And it wasn't that someone had sat me down and said, Jason, there's only 4 things that are respectable and well-earning. No, it wasn't like that. It was society had told me, no, 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 no. These things are too risky. These things are too difficult. These things, you're going to be a poor starving artist or a poor starving ballet person or someone who wants to be on the moon. These are the things that you should do. So I started to say, okay, I can do that. And at some point I began to realize this was a secret to success. According to my parents and according to the world, the secret to success was this. And I'll let you in on the secret. It was do really well in school. Get into a really, really good college, preferably an Ivy League school, preferably Harvard. Get a good job. Make a lot of money. Marry a beautiful girl or boy. Have a family. Retire. Then you will be happy. Right? We've never heard that being said, but you know that that is the message that we've heard, right? Does that resonate? So I said, okay, I can do that. That sounds pretty simple. Not simple, but I think that's very clear to me. I'm very type A, so I was like, okay. So I went to school thinking, you know what? Okay, I just need to get into a good school, Ivy League school. What are these schools? So I became the kid that was so dedicated, so focused on getting into an Ivy League school at all costs. So I was a kid walking around my freshman year with like SAT words, super nerdy. I was a kid who was like getting all A's in class, sitting in the front, not knowing when to put his hand down still. And I participated in every activity, right? I was part of the math club. I was part of the science club. I was the editor of my newspaper. I joined the swim team because the swim team was the only team that wouldn't cut anyone. And they just let me swim in the last lap by myself really slowly. I was part of the chess club. I was the captain of the chess club. I was also the only member of the chess club, which at times can be really difficult. But I was singularly focused on this idea that if I study hard, if I apply myself, I can get into a good school, right? And lo and behold, senior year wraps around, I had committed myself, I got into the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League school. And the day that that letter came in, I was ecstatic. And you should have seen me on the first day of school. I literally, it probably would have looked like I thought I was going to Hogwarts or something, because I felt like this place was magic. And the very first day, literally, this is a photo of the campus. I remember sitting in the grass, just because I had seen so many photos of kids sitting in the grass. And I was like, oh, this is what smart kids do at school. And I was so happy, right? I was like, I have worked 17 years of my life to get to this moment, and finally I've done it. And then the first exams came, and then, first semester's over, and second semester's over, and slowly something really interesting started to happen. I started to look around, and I started thinking to myself, wait a second, this is it? Don't get me wrong, Penn was an amazing experience, an amazing college, but I had this moment where I was sitting around thinking, wait, this is everything that I was working for, and this is it? Have you ever had that moment when you feel you're not unhappy, but you're not happy, right? And I said, why am I not happy? I was told if I go to this great school, I'll be happy. I said, oh, I know why. It's because I don't have that good job yet. Right? I said, okay, I've got to go to that next step on that ladder. So the next 4 years, same thing. I joined this swing dance club. I joined student government. I was like one of the representatives for our class. I graduated with honors. And at that time, everyone who graduated from Wharton, which was the business school I was going to, wanted to either be an investment banker or a management consultant. And I was like, yeah, management consultant. That's what I want to be when I grow up. No one had any idea what those things were, but we were like, that's what we want to be. So I tried so hard, running around in a business suit, doing all these interviews, and lo and behold, those 4 years of work paid off, and I got accepted to my dream job at Bain & Company, which is this incredible place, right? And I said, my God, this is amazing. And the first day, again, it was like Hogwarts, but on steroids. There's a smell of like fresh paper and ink. And I remember someone was like, hey, Jason, do you mind stapling this for me? I was like, yeah, absolutely. And I was running around like, who else needs me to staple for them, right? And it was because I was so eager and I was so happy. And then the same thing happened. I got my next case and my next case. And it was an incredible place to learn and grow. But I had been told once I make a lot of money, which I was, I would be happy. And again, it wasn't that I was unhappy, but I wasn't quite happy, right? That's when I started looking around and started saying, wait a second. What are all these things that I've been told growing up, and for some reason they don't seem to be true? It was right around that time that I turned 22. And the Haiti earthquake happened to coincide with my 22nd birthday. And during that time of searching, I said, you know what? I need to do something. So that's when I went to New York subway stop. We made this video, and it started getting shared widely. So soon after, I said, you know what? Just on the side, just for fun, I'm going to start making videos and putting it onto YouTube. Let's see what happens. So I started making videos, and slowly they got more and more traction. Videos went from thousands of views to tens of thousands of views. Eventually, I convinced my older brother, Eddie, who you saw, to join me as well, and he was working at the White House at the time, right? He had graduated from Harvard, very overachieving kids. And we said, you know what? And I asked my best friend, Eric, who was at Harvard Med School, to join me too. And so every night what we would do, and we were all in different cities, right? We would come up with scripts, and we would film things, and we would edit it, and we'd send hard drives back and forth, and slowly all of our videos started going viral. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and people started to invite us out to speak at events. I said, oh, wow, that's awesome. And so we would get up there, and we'd be like, what should we talk about? And it was events like this, and people would say, tell us about what it means to follow your dream. So every weekend we would go to these college events or these high school events and say, you have to follow your dream. You have to live a life of passion. And they would say, oh, you're so brave. And every Monday morning we'd go back to our cubicles and be like, oh my God. I'm such a hypocrite. And it all came to a head at one moment when I was speaking at an event like this. And there was another speaker who was wonderful. And she was talking about a woman named Bronnie Ware. If you're a big TED Talk fan, you've probably heard of Bronnie Ware, but she's a palliative care nurse who is someone who helps people as they're dying. And she did a really interesting experiment where she would ask everyone as they're dying, what is your biggest regret in life? And as you can imagine, a lot of the responses were, I wish I spent more time with my family. I wish I had traveled more. I wish I'd read more books. Certainly not. I wish I'd watched more Netflix. Everything that you would expect, right? But by and large, across the board, the majority of people would actually say the same thing. They would say, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not one that others expected of me. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not one that others expected of me. And I still remember where I was sitting, and it just cut me to the heart. So I remember thinking and contemplating. I looked over at Eddie and Eric and I said, we gotta quit. And they're like, yeah. So we quit, which is crazy, right? Because my brother Eddie and I, we are the only two children of Korean immigrants, as I mentioned. And They had sent us to great schools. We had like these very well-respected jobs at Bain, at the White House, and we quit on the same day. So all the mothers in here are like, oh my God. So you know what happened. So I said, well, I'm the younger brother, so I'm going to call first. So I said, hey, she goes, hi, I love you. I said, I love you too. By the way, I just quit my job. She goes, Omana, and she fainted. Omana in Korean means something I cannot repeat. No, she's saying, oh my God. And she said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to make videos for YouTube. And she goes, Omana. Fainted again. We hung up. And we said, okay, maybe we should give her about 5 minutes. Okay. So Eddie calls her up, and he goes, oh, hey, hi, my favorite son. How are you? And my brother goes, oh, I'm doing well. By the way, I just quit my job. She goes, Omana. And she says, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to make videos on YouTube. Omana. She died. She's like, this YouTube, who is this YouTube? I'm going to kill him. Right? And of course, you're going to imagine that my mother would have this reaction, but the truth is that everyone had this reaction. My peers, my mentors, my boss, everyone said, you're crazy. Are you kidding me? You work so hard. You went to an Ivy League school. You're working at the White House. You're working at Bain & Company. You're at Harvard Med School, and you're going to give it all up to make videos on YouTube? And everyone said, don't do it. Why would you do that? You've got so much going on for yourself. And it was at that moment I started to reconsider, but I said, no. This entire life, I've been told, if you do this, then you will be happy. If you take this next step, then you will be happy. And every time I got to that place, I didn't feel that happiness that was promised to me. I said, you know what? For the first time ever, I want to live a life true to myself and not one that others expected of me. So we quit. We quit. We sold all of our belongings. We moved everything into our Honda Element 2003, which is like a Lego on wheels. Everything had fit in there. And we decided we're going to drive across country to LA, the place of dreams, right? Hollywood, actors, everyone's beautiful in LA. And they said, okay, where are you going to move to LA? Are you moving to Hollywood or Culver City or downtown or Pasadena? Where in LA are you moving? And we said, we're moving to this great place called Irvine. It wasn't until we arrived here that we realized, wait a second, is this LA? It took us a while we were a little slow on the uptake. But in all seriousness, this was such a bizarre and difficult time because even when you make this step, you've got all these doubts, right? Even when you do what you love, you've got all these doubts, you've got all these people questioning you, and you've got a lot of self-doubt too. It all came to a head for me the very first night we were in Irvine, and we realized, you know what, we have nowhere we're going to sleep. But we had this room, but we didn't have a bed. So Eddie and I, we went to the IKEA up in Costa Mesa, right? And here I was, a 25-year-old man, and my older brother's 26, and we decided to buy a bunk bed. I felt like I was Benjamin Buttoning in my life because we had a bunk bed when we were 5 and 6 years old, and I was getting older, but somehow I felt like I was regressing. I was like, is this really what I want? And of course, I said, I want top bunk, and he said, okay. Now, fast forward 5 years later. Jubilee Media now is a digital media startup, and we've made hundreds of videos, and we've got hundreds and thousands of followers. And every day now I get to wake up doing what I love. I get to tell stories to inspire change. And we were able to create videos and films that not only bridge people together, but inspire young people to live for something much greater than themselves. I share with you my story in hopes that in some small way, especially for the young people in this room, that I would remind you of what I talked about in the very beginning, the very first lesson that we learn, that we hear all the time, but that is beaten out of us as we grow older. You can be whatever you want when you grow up. And this idea that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And this idea that if we live a life of love, of compassion, and of courage, that together we can change the world. Thank you.